And if you guys can see that, that cat has crawled up underneath this car and she's in the plastic and she knows there's a mouse in there. Ha ha ha. Oh, see, no cats were harmed. She jumped right on out of there. All right, for sanding this thing, I've got some old school 3M Hook-It sandpaper. Buddy Devin that I bought the blue Chevy C10 off his dad, he gave this stuff to me after his father passed away. So it's pretty cool of him. We're still making use of it too, brother. Thanks a lot. So this, I'm just using it dry. 1000 grit, my DA. Then we got 1500 to follow up with to kind of take the 1000 grit scratches out of. Then I'm going to switch straight up to 3000, but I'm going to do it wet. So the issue I'm having is getting motivated to come in and sand around these lines right here and right here. I'm good with color sanding this whole car, but that area right there is going to take some time. So we kind of switched tactics from the DA. We're going to throw some 1200 grit wet or dry on a wooden stir stick cut to the width of that paper and just kind of block it out a little at a time. Make sure we don't sand too much. Make sure we get all the dirt out. It'll buff, but once we do this with 1200, then we're going to have to go to 1500, 2000, all by hand. And guys, that sucks, but it's what you got to do if you want to make one slick. All right, our wet sandpaper down here, I got it cut to size in the bucket. Let it soak. Give it 5 minutes in there. You want, when you pull your paper out, you want the back of it to stay wet. You want all the abrasive to stay wet. You don't want water beating up off there. Trust me, guys, it'll make your sandpaper last longer if you pre-soak it. And you also want to have a squirt bottle. If I'm going to rinse my panels off, this is what I like to use. I'll just squirt them, maybe lube up my sandpaper there as I'm sanding with some water. Keep it going like that, works good. Now, if you don't have a squirt bottle in your shop, how about an old Mountain Dew bottle? Yeah, it works. Poke a hole in the top, put water in it, you're set to go. Speaking of set to go, get you guys set. Then we got, oh, almost a perfect break. I need to work on those tricks. All right, let's get to sand. These cheap yellow microfibers, they work really good to wipe your panel off with because it's been sitting for a week. It's got a little bit of dust and stuff on it. You want all that off before you start sanding. Don't grind the dust into your paint, guys. Don't do it. So legitimately, this is 20 minutes worth of work to get this half done. Roof and the cowl. Haven't sanded the doors yet. That'll probably take 20 minutes to do down the side. So it doesn't take very long, but that's just one step. So this is 1000 grit. The next step, we'll go with 1200 wet over the worst dirt nibs to make sure they're flat. And then we'll switch up to 1500 grit on the DA. Just because I hate getting water everywhere. And man, that's a big old bunch of roof to wet sand. Water would be all over the place. So I'm going to try to minimize my actual wet sanding into this area around all these body lines and stuff. And then we'll have to figure out how to buff it without burning through. Involve some tape and that kind of stuff, a little care. I did get a run. Yeah, that's the only run I've seen in the whole car, so that's good. Still, you can see those dirt nibs there. We got it. That's what I'm going to be flattening out in the next step. You can also see most all the texture's gone. You can just barely see a few freckles of shine through there. This is another one of those step down areas where all hand sanding, hopefully not hand buffing. All right, try to give you guys a little different perspective here. And you can see there's some serious texture there, but no fear, we got sandpaper. Hopefully now you can see very little texture left in it. That's going to work. We do have a little bit of stuff down close to those lines. We're going to just have to grit our teeth and do that all by hand. Man, that blue is a killer looking blue, isn't it? All right, new day. Hope you guys are doing great today. It's nice and cool here, so I just stayed out until too late last night. I actually worked like 7 hours after I got off work out here sanding. So we got our whole roof 1,000 gritted. We came back with 1,500 grit dry like I showed. And then we used 1,500 wet because I wasn't happy with the dry sanding. Then we went back with 3,000 on half of this roof. I got a spot on the back to show you so you can really see the difference, the change there. And I've hit inside of here with 1,200 grit on my wooden stir stick. I got a little bit here to do. I'm gonna wait till the door's open to do some of that. Here, little small spot. It's just a lot of little stuff to get in around these windows, and it's not a whole lot of fun, but it is something that needs to be done, so we got to get after it. The bottom of this I still have to go back and hit with the 3,000 grit wet. And I did stop all of my color sanding right here. I didn't go on and do the rest of that door, but I did do the whole roof down to the bead. So yeah, it may look buffed in the reflection there. But look at this. This is 3,000 grit on this side, 1,500 grit here. You can follow that light bulb through there and you can see the change. So I think what I'll do for Woody at Wood and Metal Garage is I'm going to pop in some 8,000 grit and sand a little spot out in the middle of this hood, and maybe somewhere it's easier to be able to show the differences. And yeah, it's amazing what 8,000 grit looks like. It almost looks like it hasn't even been sanded. It gets so shiny, but it makes it super easy to buff. And hey, I'm all about easy when it comes to doing this work. Anything we can make it faster, that is the deal. I did switch up on my sandpaper. The stuff that I'm using, I'll say wet, but it's really, they call it a moist. Yeah, moist application. So we're using the 3M Trizac 3,000 grit. Not the cheapest sandpaper in the world, but this one piece right here has done half of that roof, and it's got the other half of the roof, or maybe like half the car in it. I'm not sure. We're going to try to get as much done with it as we can, because that was, you know, $3.50 a sheet, $4, something like that. It's worth it if it saves you time, right? That's what we keep telling ourselves, at least. Got a call from the machine shop today. Last of the pieces are pretty much designed and ready to be cut, so they should be ready sometime next week for this thing. Got to decide how we're going to paint that up. All right, for the moist application, we're just going to use a little water in a squirt bottle, and it's like, that's all you use. Take your sandpaper, one hit with it, and then, yeah, don't hold on to the water bottle or set it on your painted surface. I'm gonna start out here in the middle because it's hard to reach. And as the fellas say, we're gonna let it eat. I probably already did the middle of this from the other side. 3,000, if you can imagine, it doesn't really remove a lot of material. You just want to be sure stuff's clean, because you can scratch if you have dirt particulate out in your paint. So we'll just take this little honey, be over the tops of them body lines so she all has a nice shine on her, and just keep on going with it. Yeah. Hey, look at that. Yeah, that is sweet. Man, that's it. The coolest. It's like ever. This far. It's the end of our lives. Never been finished out. So this is awesome. All right, just one more quarter of it, the roof. All right, here it is, just for wood and metal garage. 8,000 grit sandpaper going on the 35 roof. Yeah, bud. All right, guys. I've been playing around. You can see here, dull versus shiny. Then we come back here, you can definitely tell here, right? Where I buffed. I just like to go around, give it a quick hit with the compound. And then back here, this is all sanded with 8,000 grit, Woody. So 8,000 grit, and then this is where it's compounded at. And it's pretty crazy how smooth that stuff gets it. This thing, it's turning out amazing, but it is an amazing amount of work. I don't know how well the camera is going to show any of this up either, because it's hard. If you stand back, you can't even tell the difference between where it's sanded and where it's been compounded since we hit it with that 8,000. It's just so shiny. It's an awesome deal. We are using the Rupe's Bigfoot. It's a 21 millimeter throw, blue pad, blue compound. Yeah, all the Rupe's stuff, because that orbital action on that tool is so much less aggressive than the old rotary tools.
You can't stop me now, can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. You can't stop me now, can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at, ain't turning back around. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me. All the blood, sweat, and sacrifice. Oh, I paid the dearest price. Then no shortcuts here for destiny. I'll take the long way proud. Oh, I know what I've earned, and now it's my turn. Lighting the fuse, let it burn. My time is rising, and you can't bring me down. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. My feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. Can't stop me now. Can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at, ain't turning back around. Can't stop me. Can't stop me now. No, 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 you can't stop me now. This is the calm before the storm. You know what's coming, so be warned. You can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. Though my feet have come too far for you to tie them to the ground. Can't stop me now. You can't stop me now. Set my sights on where I'm going at, ain't turning back around. Can't stop me. Oh yeah, you can't stop me now.
All right, guys, so processes. You got some smaller tools here for doing smaller areas. Here I got a 3-inch, it's just blue point, but it's a DA sander made for Velcro sandpaper. And then I use my, this is 3000. That's really all I use with this little 3-inch tool. You could probably do 1500 and go on up with it, but I do all of that sanding by hand on the small areas so I can make sure I get the texture out. Then we move up to this 3-inch buffer. It has a foam pad on there using the same Rupes compound I've used on the rest of the rig. I just use a simple wooden stir stick for a sanding block. I know it may not be high tech enough for you, but it's certainly cheap enough you could try it and see what you thought. You don't have to have custom made blocks for every little thing. You can do it with stuff that you have around if you're just a little bit creative in your thinking. All right, I don't know how well that shows up in the camera, but I was just kind of trying to prove the point that, hey, I believe we got it shiny at this point here. So our car, man, I've got it all the way cut and buffed now. And you can see in this area here, this is where I'm talking about using those small tools to get in to all of these little body lines, beads, the beauty part of the car. It's what makes these old cars look cool. It also is what makes these old cars a real pain in the butt to cut and buff or prime and block and get looking beautiful. But we got this one where it is going to be super nice. I'm not saying that this could go to the Detroit Autorama and win best paint, because it will not do that, but it will look very, very good rolling around town. It'll be one of the nicer cars out there on the street, I promise you that. I did make it all the way down here. We've 3,000 gridded stuff and compounded it with our Rupes tool. And I want to tell you guys, if you want to change your luck when you're color sanding and buffing, this tool right here will do it. All right. I say you don't have to have custom fancy sanding blocks, but the old rotary buffer that just spins around like a grinder is ancient. It's a dinosaur. It's dead. Throw it away. No, don't throw it away. Keep it. But consider getting you one of these that work in this orbital fashion. Okay. There's a bunch of different manufacturers that sell them. You don't have to buy Rupes, but they're the ones that kind of started and set the standard with a lot of this stuff. I think Harbor Freight sells a copy of a Rupes now. I'm not going to even try that. So blue compound, blue foam pad, yellow polish, yellow pad, white polish, white pad. That's why we're using Rupes. I like their system and the way they have it. And guys, you can obviously see, I mean, I haven't fully wiped and cleaned this all up yet with final inspection, but man, it's looking good. It's about time to unmask her and start working up here in the engine compartment, I believe. I think I may put the rear fenders on it just because they're in my shop floor and I'm running out of room. We got to get this dude going back together so we can start it and make some noise, make some of the music of our people. Yeah. So you like what I'm putting out on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down there in the old comment section. Let me know what I could do different, how I could change things, or if, we need to go back and review something else. Yeah, hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. I will catch you guys on the next one.